I'd like to call the regularly scheduled Board of Finance meeting for Monday, April 18th, 2016 to order. First item on the agenda is public forum. Unfortunately, seeing no one from the public in the audience, I think we'll dispense with public forum. Item 2, approved minutes. 2.1 would be the regular meeting minutes of March 21, 2016. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is a second?
Second.
Comments, questions, discussion, et cetera. Ken?
Page 6, two things. I had asked how much Fusco had received for the school project, and I believe that Sheila was to get back to us on it, but she's not here. I don't think we received anything yet,
Right.
but I would like to carry that over to the meeting proper in its right place on the agenda.
Okay.
But she said it's that second sentence that had a typo, I think. Ms. Milano said that there's still a retainage balance left and some money that has not been committed,
Committed, not committee, yeah.
but she didn't have the numbers tonight.
Okay. All right, I've also got another one for Sheila's follow-up. And that is 2.1, the regular meeting minutes. Mr. McKenzie asked about sidewalk replacement schedule. They requested, Ms. Milano said she would follow up on that. So let's please note that. Tracy, I'm wondering, sometimes I think these follow-up items are escaping individuals. Would it be possible to take a put a list together of items that require follow-up during our meeting? And if you wouldn't mind just forwarding that to me, and then I will make sure it goes to either whichever respective group or individual is responsible for answering it. I know it's in the minutes, and you're diligent about getting the minutes out within a week's time. So, but I think this might just be a gentle reminder. Okay. The other one, Linda and Ted, you might want to see if there was a follow-up. 3.2 pension committee minutes. I had questioned a statement in the pension committee minutes, fully understanding that they may not have accurately represented the discussion that took place at that meeting, but it said the Board of Ed doesn't plan to address pension contribution in negotiations as all pension plans are closed. And my question was to the...
That's not what transpired.
That's kind of what I was hoping. You were at the meeting.
I attend those meetings, yes.
So you just save Katie the problem, the hassle of calling you to find out, and just tell us now what really transpired at that meeting?
Yes. They passed a motion requesting that the Board of Ed, well, let me come
Yeah,
up.
come on up then.
At that meeting and at previous meetings, there had been a discussion about the fact that the Board of Ed does not require its employees to make a contribution to the pension plan, and that the other town employees do. And I told the pension committee, as the representative of the Board of Ed at the pension committee, that while that's true because that's what we choose to do, that we have a, in our negotiations with our various groups of employees, we have certain priorities. And since our pension plans are closed to new employees and have been closed for several years, and we have a relatively small number of people covered by them at this point, except for the actual retirees. This is not a high priority for us, and we're working on things like changes to the health care coverage and things like that that are big money items for us. And this is a very small money item. And since it is our tradition that we have never done this, it would be a big deal in the negotiations for little money. And I didn't think that this was something, I did bring it up at the Board of Ed meeting, we talked about it, and it was the consensus of the Board of Ed and the school administration that this wasn't, just wasn't the right thing to do at this stage. So it is true that our pensions are closed, but that isn't why we're not doing it.
Right. Okay, that was the clarification. It sounded as if there were negotiating postures being expressed in public forum, and I was concerned that that would preclude you from reversing direction at some point in the future, which clearly you have the right to do at any point.
Right.
And we understand, and I now understand what the rationale was for the comments, was that to date, this has not been an issue that the board wants to address.
That's correct.
But that's fine. Thank you. Thank you. Anything else on the minutes? Joe, this was one for Sheila that I had I don't know if you have your minutes up there or not, but probably not. Sheila noted that the FEMA money had come in. This is last month's meeting. There's $85,000 she put in Public Works and some in the Finance Department for her time. She is putting that into this year's operating budget?
Not budget.
This year's?
This year's
This year's
2016 financials.
So it's a receivable
Yeah.
this year?
Yeah. She's right
Against,
here.
yeah. The FEMA money, you were putting it in
Yep.
to Public Works and into Finance, which is basically a receivable or revenue stream
As a credit.
as
to
a
the
credit
expense.
for previous year's expenditures.
Right.
Right,
Right.
but it was not accrued
Right.
last year, so it becomes actual revenue this year.
Okay. Okay, so basically it's gonna fall to fund balance most likely is,
Hopefully.
hopefully. Aren't you in charge of that? I didn't have anything else. Anybody else? Thank you.
Move the acceptance as amended.
Yes, thank you, Ken. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained, none. Okay. Correspondence, 3.1, Standing Building Committee minutes. They were not available at the time the packets went out. Were they still not available? Okay. Mike, were you able to attend a meeting?
I was
most
not,
recently?
I was
You
out
were
of
not?
state that week.
Okay.
There were a couple of items that I was asked to follow up on from our last meeting, but having not attended, I do believe that the building committee meeting went on. Actually, I do know for a fact, I talked to somebody who was at the meeting, but I was not able to attend, so I'll just follow up
I'll
next
look at it
month.
later. Fine. 3.2, Pension Committee minutes. Comments, questions, et cetera? I did have, well, this is just a clarification. It's on John Roach on Public Forum. He was asking about insurance package for new hires, covers disabilities and pension benefits. Mr. Goldbat responded, a long-term disability insurance package is in place for new hires. Is that new hires, all new hires for the town?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
including police and fire?
Yes.
All hires, new hires are covered under LTDs, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure, because it seemed as if, because it goes on to say, all police have a $100,000 life insurance policy, so they were dealt with separately, but that's only because that's something nobody else shares in.
Right, and there is a separate package for the police.
That's
Yes.
what I thought. But the police also get the long-term disability.
Yes.
Yeah, especially.
Yeah. Anyone else? No? Sailing through. Item 4, review and accept report of expenditures for the Board of Education for March 2016. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second? Linda and Ted, back for a repeat performance. You were already at this table. We should have just let you sit there. Anything you'd like to bring to our attention?
Well, let me just summarize. The total expenditures for the month were $4,387,549.22. And basically, we are close to budget. There are some timing issues here, And there's also some timing issues with respect to some state reimbursement. So at the moment, we are 67% of our budget has been spent compared to about 65% last year. But based on an analysis of these timing differences, we believe we're still very much on trend line.
Questions?
Yeah, if you could comment on this item here. It indicates that legal services is over budget. Two factors that caused that is special education and contract negotiations. I can understand contract negotiations. Why special ed?
Well, from time to time, parents they always have the right to engage counsel in the process of trying to develop a plan to educate a special ed student. And it's not particularly common, but it does happen. And when they sometimes decide to lawyer up, we have to hire counsel to represent us in these kind of discussions. And sometimes we have that happen a little more than we normally do, and that's what's going on now. Last year was actually kind of a light year in that regard, and this year it looks like we're making it up, so.
But it's a statutory protection afforded to parents and students.
Oh, yeah.
Special
No, I mean, they
education
absolutely
students.
have the right to do
Right.
this, and but if they do engage counsel, then it's prudent for the Board of Ed to have counsel to make sure that the rights of the town are protected.
And there have been discussions over the years as to how often do you engage and to what level do you engage. If you think the community is being potentially taken advantage of, or the demands far exceed what our responsibilities or the needs of that child are, to bring an attorney to the table to negotiate is prudent.
Yeah.
And that's a fine line that we've dealt with over the years in terms of how hard do we fight these PPT scenarios.
Well, and in most cases, the attorney costs are a small fraction of what the possible cost could be for services that either our people or the outside experts that we've hired say aren't necessary. And so if there's a disagreement on this point and it's a fairly expensive issue, then we probably will hire counsel to see if we can resolve it.
It's a good investment. Anybody else questions?
Yes.
Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, I have two questions. One is, you're going to be over in tuition. I think Linda told us about at least $500,000.
At least 631 with the state rescission, right?
No, 'cause
Well, that's a town
And,
side.
it's a town side.
Yeah.
And that the board was going to be at, I think, a meeting that had already been held, transferring money to cover that overage. Where were you transferring that from?
There was a small transfer of $50,000 that was done just from the contracted services line over to tuition to cover the overage that's on this report. And then the rest will be covered by other accounts that will transfer later on and the receipt of the excess cost grant.
Will there be anything substantive in the budget? Any of the bone coming out of that, or is this just picking a little here and a little there?
Picking a little here and there. There's going to be...
A lot of picking, $500,000.
Yeah, there's a little bit of savings in salaries that we are going to use. We've asked facilities to hold back $100,000 from site improvement projects. Pupil services will have another $50,000 in contracted services. So the rest of it's going to be a lot of little picking here and there.
And I had a question about transportation, because it's 8% over last year. What accounts for that?
The regular transportation,
Yeah.
that's timing of bills. Last year, we were a month behind, so this year, we paid,
So in effect, we've got an extra month's bills. Because
Okay.
we're current this year and we were behind last year. That's why it looks like it looks like we're over, but we're really not.
We're not over.
No.
I apologize for laughing at that question, because I got a smile from the first selectman, who was bemused many years ago when he was a rookie and couldn't understand how a bus company that size could let a receivable go that long. Ever the accountant in him. I was not laughing at you. It was,
yeah, and they're not as far behind this year as they
As they
were.
used to be.
As they used to be.
Cash
Yeah. The cash flow,
And as you saw, I mean, we're doing very well on the fuel costs.
We seem to be, and I saw that 8% hit me. One last question, there's this, it was kind of highlighted in the board's special meeting on March 28th, where you were taking up the issue of the radon testing. Are you any
Yes.
further along on that? Do you know what,
Is this regarding high school?
regarding the new high school?
Mind
Yeah.
if
Mike,
please do.
Mike,
I spoke to the high school building committee chairman today and asked regarding that question, the radon testing. I can tell you that the situation has been solved. It seems as if it was simply the plastic on several of the pipings or vents were not removed. So the ventilation was not working properly. The testing is going to be done, I think, this Friday, and they removed the plastic and whatever obstructions there were. I think he said either last Tuesday or, yeah, it was last Tuesday, because Tuesday is tomorrow. So last Tuesday, and they're going to test on Friday, and that should do it.
So it's a happy resolution.
It's a very happy and inexpensive resolution.
It was all covered under the warranty.
Right, right. So,
all right.
I had a question
Jeff, yeah.
on the PCBs up at Baldwin. Any updates on that situation?
I haven't heard anything on that.
I didn't attend the building committee meeting, and we didn't get the minutes, so I don't
I
know.
was at the building committee meeting.
Oh, you were? Good.
Yeah.
Great.
No, there isn't really any progress on that front. I think they haven't made a decision yet as to what they're going to do. I mean, it's this discovery is a problem, and it may be that the project that we thought we could get done in one summer is going to have to take 2 summers, because the remediation of this stuff is quite time-consuming, and you can't have other people in there working with the guys with the moon suits. So it just, as you know, the summer work window is kind of small, and so I don't think they've got a definitive answer on that yet, but I can tell you the standing building committee is all over this issue, and at the moment it looks like it's going to have to be cut into 2 pieces, because it just doesn't look like it can all get done in one summer.
Thank you.
I can check on the facility director tomorrow and send out an update on the latest.
That'd be great.
Sure.
Thank you.
Some questions on a couple of expenditures, line items. Workers' comp, March expenditures of $88,000. How many open cases does that represent?
That's a good question.
I'm not sure how many open cases of workman's comp we have.
Okay,
That's just our quarterly billing
okay.
for workman's comp.
One more.
Yeah, Ken, go ahead.
Yeah, I noted in your Operations Committee meeting on March 14th regarding Baldwin, we're not talking about the high school. Baldwin, there's now an issue about adding perimeter lighting that could cost us $360,000. What, can someone give us background on that?
Well, I'm not.
I'm not familiar about
This-
Baldwin.
Stadium-
I think-
Oh, no, pardon me, it was at the high school.
Okay.
I'm
okay,
sorry,
okay.
that was at the
Yeah,
high school.
I was going to say, I am familiar with what's going on at the high school, but I hadn't heard anything about
No,
Baldwin.
I thought it was
Okay.
carried over from the previous page.
We have had some testing done. One of the fields is lighted, and the lights are up, way up on these big poles. And the poles are 20-some-odd years old. So it was suggested that it was probably a good idea for us to have those poles tested, and we have had them tested. And I think that there's still some work to be done on some additional testing, but it does look as if those poles are going to have to be replaced. Now, whether they're going to be replaced this summer or whether they can fix some of them, and the timing of this is not totally clear yet, but it is clear that sometime in the next 2 years we're going to have to replace these. Now, the good news is that these are very energy inefficient lights. And so when we replace them, we're going to replace them with LEDs, and that will save us on operating costs. And it'll also make the light less intrusive to some of our neighbors because the lights can be more focused instead of just blowing up the whole area. But as you can imagine, this is a big job, and it's not going to come free.
If we could stay on that subject, what I thought was interesting in that paragraph was that Mr. Gurnham would be looking into whether an existing bond can be utilized to cover the item. But I believe that was covered, or that was placed in the budget for next year. The cost of that.
$250,000 was, and it's going to be more than $250,000.
Okay, so it's 110 over.
The current estimate is, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I was thinking the number was 350. You're right,
No,
it was
I'm
250.
still in
It was
250.
250,
250,
but
right.
the current proposal is going to be more like 360.
I had a question on clerical building, only at 54%. What accounts for being that low?
Local building salaries?
Yeah, clerical building under salaries. 54% is pretty low.
I don't,
I have it right
Well,
here.
I'm suspecting that may be an area where you're going to go to help yourself with tuition, the tuition issue.
no, that's actually, yeah, that's one of the areas of savings. We did not replace a position at the high school, a secretarial position at the high school, and there've been some other staffing changes. There is going to be some savings in that line.
Okay, is that position going to be filled for the upcoming fiscal
No,
year?
it wasn't budgeted next year.
Okay, so that was one of the areas of saving. All right, good. Also, security, it's a small line item. As Tom Giblin used to tell me, he says, why are we playing with the small line items? But it's only $20,000, but you've only expended 20% of it. Is there something coming?
No,
Is that
they
licenses?
changed the security company,
Okay.
and this one is much less expensive
Expensive?
than what we had before.
Gotcha. Okay, heat is at 42%, so it held up throughout the year. Of course, this was a mild winter, right?
That's what's going on.
It's a mild winter, all right.
Yeah.
Right, and the high school is such an unknown, and we still don't know going into the
That's right.
cooling season what the high school's gonna do.
Right.
So
So
it's,
is the cooling gonna come out of the heat line item?
well, it's,
The fuel,
We don't-
fuel for the cooling system is in
Yeah.
the heat item.
Okay.
Along the same lines, electricity is
Yep, it's down.
substantially lower, so I would imagine as we head into the warmer months, that may change
That may change.
as well.
Change as well, yeah. Anybody else?
No worries.
Yes, warrants, help yourself.
Okay. Two questions on the warrants. I'm on page 5.
Okay.
Both of them are on page 5, so we don't have to go
Okay.
too much. Environmental transactions, it's the radon retesting at the high school, which we just talked about.
Yep.
I was just curious, how is that falling under the Board of Ed? operating budget and not under the high school?
Because the high school has been turned over to us, and we're
So
operating the
now,
high
okay,
school.
so it's,
And we needed that test done pronto.
okay,
And, yeah, I'm not sure if that's one that we're charging back to them or not.
okay.
I
don't
think
have
we're
the-
going to end up charging it back to the vendor.
I'm not sure who's
I
paying
know
for
the
that,
testing
but
would have, I know the testing has to be done, I was just wondering why it wasn't coming out of the building committee versus the operating.
there's a
committee.
number of
Or
items
operating.
that we're paying for and billing back to the building
But
committee.
if the substantial completion has been turned over, then that would make sense, that the testing may fall to the Board of Ed now. Okay,
But I still think that we're going to get this back from the vendor.
okay.
Because this
Yeah.
thing about they put these tubes in to draw the air away and get the radon concentration down. And then they forgot to take the bottom cap off the tubes. So they turn the fan on and nothing happens. And everybody's like, why doesn't this work? I mean, come on, that's a warranty item.
Okay. Second question is at the bottom regarding the student activity account.
You're up.
Well, I recall this. Is that an annual
Yes.
number? That's an annual, right?
Yes.
I recall this over the years, that usually once a year, there's a number that goes into the student activity
Right,
account.
once, they pay it out of the student activity account, and once they hit the amount that we have budgeted,
Right,
then they ask for the transfer.
Okay.
And then anything
And then
after
it-
that, they continue to pay out of the student activity account, out of
okay.
their own funds.
That's what I saw the date,
And
and then I figured it was in the annual.
I actually brought the wrong folder with me, so I don't have the list of everything that they paid, but I verified that they have spent all that money and we've given it back to them.
Okay.
Where was the underground drainage pump out? That's like $8,000,
Where are we at? Ken?
page 10.
Page 10, okay. All right, which vendor here?
Tredebi,
Down
Tredebi,
towards the bottom of the.
at the bottom.
Underground
There are 3
drainage.
invoices.
You know what, off the top of my head, I don't remember. I will check and get back to you. It's not ringing a bell at all.
We'll have to look that one up.
Any others?
I had one, the software for the food service. Has there been any, I know it just went online, not that long ago. Has there been any feedback on how people have found it or problems with getting used to it?
You know, it's like anything else, there is a little bit of a learning curve, but it sounds like most of the staff really likes it. They find it easy to use. It's very clear. There's no guessing about prices of things. It's buttons clearly spell out what it is. And the parents really seem to like it because they can see exactly what their child is eating. And we've had a number of parents call and say, what do you mean they're eating 3 cookies? And, you know, so so far it seems to be going really well.
I'm impressed with the fact that you offer salads now in 3rd grade. It's fantastic. And family fitness,
Yeah, they're
progressive.
Melissa Jones has the salad bar now, and that's going over really well. The kids are really liking the salad bar, and it's going to be put into all the other elementary schools too, where they'll have a salad bar where they can go make their own salads.
It's fantastic.
Yep.
Thank you.
Others? No? All right, call the question. All in favor of accepting the bills for the Board of Education for the month of March? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Recusals? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Keep this up. Item 5, review and approve expenditures for the town.
Sometimes.
Thank you. For the town government for March 2016. Sheila? Amble your way up here. Good evening. Good evening. What would you like to bring to our attention?
Well, I have some reports for you that didn't make it into your packet, but...
packet? We were
Yeah, I guess I could pass them out now.
Yeah, that's one.
These are the capital for the town projects. we could save them for later. This is the medical. Wait a minute, hold on. Sure. Okay, but then we'll start with revenue, if that's okay?
I think that works. Geez, that's an unusual thing.
I know. I don't have many choices. Okay, so we're 75% of the way through the year, and we've collected 99.3% of our budget, close to last year, 99.6. So I always look back at this point in time and see how much we collected between April and July, basically, and I looked back 2 years, and both years were the same. We started with different figures in March, but they were within $100,000, between 1.1 and 1.2 million is the number. So if we do that again this year, say $1 million, we have 570,000 remaining to collect. Okay, so we're looking at a $400,000 to $500,000 revenue surplus. This is back of the envelope, really. But if you look at the individual departments, for example, the fire department, they are well ahead of where they've ever been at this point in the year. And there's been months where they've collected close to their remaining to collect balance of 129. They have 4 months left to collect because they're one of the departments that's a month behind because of the accrual. Taxes are at 99.9%. 4 months left to collect, and so there will be more taxes that come in because in July, when people pay, inevitably there's delinquent taxes that taxpayers don't realize, and the funds go back to the delinquent taxes, which shows up here. The accrual is not for the current grant list here, obviously. It's just for the delinquent. So revenue looks good. On the state side, it's just still, we're only going to be about $30,000 or $40,000 behind because of the reduction in the state and colleges and hospitals pilot. So there's no problem there. So overall, I think my number is probably conservative, but that's a start.
That's pretty good news, and we're going to need it, given what we're hearing coming out of Hartford, possibly. Yes. So, all right. Other questions on revenue? Youth and Family Services still ahead of budget, but not as high as they had been last year. Did we up their revenue?
No, I don't think we did. Yes,
and they're a month, but they're a month in.
Well, right. They should be at the 66 and 66, say.
Right.
And they're at almost 80.
But is that just noticing a drop from the previous year?
Yeah.
How much are we going to lose from Hartford?
Next year?
Yes.
Well, it remains to be seen because there's a few different proposals out there. Based on the governor's proposal, it's a bigger number than we anticipated, but in the $700,000 range, possibly.
But then I saw something today in the CT Mirror that put ECS and MRSA together under the governor's budget, and I went to Sean Scanlon on this, that showed we're only going to lose 4,000.
There's so many different proposals that
Right.
it's hard, at this point, you just don't.
Yeah. So,
Just have to wait and see.
yeah.
And on Youth and Family Services, don't forget, their budget was raised
That's what I thought.
in 2016 as
Yeah.
opposed to 2015.
I thought
So
it.
that's why
There's a little bit,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. I thought so. Anything else on revenue? Well, that's
I
good
think
news,
that's it.
Sheila.
Yes. So, good news on expenditures as well. We've obligated 79.7% of our budget compared to 80.8% last year, so that's almost a full percentage point ahead, which is a good thing. And, I say this every year, departments do a great job managing their budgets and, giving us budgets that they can live with and still provide the services. But there are some departments that this year, for example, insurance, we're going to see a pretty substantial surplus there because of the savings on insurance and also the equity distribution from KERMA that we didn't budget for. Police, we're going to see some savings in salaries. most likely. Right now, their salaries, they're probably at about $180,000 surplus if they keep trending that way.
I saw that.
Yeah. And we have the, Public Works has the FEMA money that was unanticipated, and plus their winter wasn't as bad as we thought. So, there are several, legal also is trending a little better than last year, actually a lot better than last year, 59.6 versus 87.96. I think that they've done a good job in settling the assessment appeal claims quickly and efficiently. And we haven't touched our contingency for $175,000. So there's a lot of factors here that are gonna, I think, stick until the year end. And so, we should see a comfortable surplus here as well. I didn't actually put a number on all the items that I just told you, but you can probably get a feel for it. It's several $100,000.
Exactly.
Capital, debt service interest shows a negative 172. I think I brought this up last month, but we have funds reserved for that, and we'll wait and see. I think it's the best tactic for that. So I think we're in good shape.
Got it. Yeah, I was looking at the police as well, and I was estimating closer to 250 in salary. So you were being conservative, and maybe I'm being aggressive. But if you do, if you go 3 times their March expenditure, you come up with about 640,000.
I think I took their $3
there an
million pay salary. I just did it back of the envelope too, not
Right.
even in my head, sort of.
Okay.
And I came up with about 180.
Yeah.
But they will have probably closer to 200.
Yeah. Should we make it a small wager?
I usually win those.
Well, yeah, since you control the books, yeah. All right. And a reason for that, are they down positions?
Yes, there's been some
When do we
retirements.
anticipate those being filled?
It takes time. I don't know the exact status as of today. I could find out.
Okay. So that might offset that. That's probably why you're saying closer to 2, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Well, because the new positions also are filled, at lower
rates.
And there's,
It takes a long time to fill them.
You gotta get them
It
through
does.
training, yeah.
it does.
Any others on expenditures?
I have one question. On human services, there's 2
I know.
disbursements that haven't been made yet. I mean, it's a small amount, $6,000, but I'm just curious as to,
I'm going to mention to
Why those agencies
Darlene
haven't-
to give them a call tomorrow.
Okay.
Because we've called in the past. Sometimes I think they just don't have the staffing to keep track of it, and then they are so grateful when we give them a call. So
okay,
we'll do that.
great.
Any others? None? Good. All right. Let's move on to medical benefits.
Oh, there's other things here, special
Oh,
funds.
did you guys want to do warrants?
Warrants, sure.
What do you have?
I was looking at just a general question, Sheila. In special funds, there are 3 items that, they're not much money, but you wonder what they're for. Who are some of these individuals, for example? I'm looking at, I don't want to mention any names here, but in the special funds, the second item on something called the I Am Dirt presentation, which seems to be drug education.
Yes.
And there's a senior trip listed down there. I mean, it's not
Those are
described
reimbursements.
in any way. And the park and rec reimbursement for something called winter session program. Is there any way to just encapsulate in a line what these things are?
We can we can try that. I wanted to do that for quite some time. This report is pretty cryptic in a way.
It is, it's very cryptic.
I know, but it's sort of a space issue as well, and
I see.
we'll see what we could do to give you a little more detail without spending too much extra time. I certainly can answer your questions. Most of these I know what they are, so I'm happy to. I can probably answer all of them now.
Go
but
ahead.
it's. I mean, most of them, like for the Park and Rec, they're all reimbursables. In other words, I mean, it says reimbursable, but we pay for the trip up front, and then the program fees will cover it. And so it's not truly, at the end of the period, it's not an expense, that's covered. And none of these are taxpayer dollars.
These are all
Right,
special
right.
fund. That's
Right.
Well,
With
some-
exception with the bonded
Bonded
projects,
projects,
right.
exactly.
It's just that you see the name of an individual and you'd like to link it to something,
Yes.
to some purpose.
Okay.
Well, that's more than likely someone who ran a program and is being paid
Yes.
for that program. They
Is that
ran-
the DAPE program?
That's the winter
The DAPE
session
program
program.
is the federal grant that we received.
Apollo Smile is a great example. You see, I think it's a she, very
She is a
often.
she.
Yes. For many years, she's been doing programs for the Youth and Family Services.
Okay?
There's quite a few expenditures for Constellation New Energy. Is that for each light in town? Because it says like Water Street, Washington, Fire.
No, it's for each electric meter.
I
So-
see. That's what I'm looking
Yes, and they're our new energy provider.
at. Okay.
They took the place of TransCanada.
Is that a new contract, or is
New contract.
TransCanada now Constellation?
No, it's a new contract.
Is that a rates?
New rates, it's savings from the TransCanada. I don't recall the exact rate, but yeah, it's less than the prior contract.
What consortium do we buy out of? One of the municipal consortiums? For our electricity is out of one of the municipal consortiums?
Through CCM.
CCM, right? Yeah, I thought it was CCM. So they do the negotiations for us.
Yes.
We get the benefits for our membership dues.
One-year contract, two-year contract?
No, I think it's
Yeah.
it's at least 2 years. It could be 3, that's what I was thinking, 2 to 3, yeah.
It's a 3-year. It's one contract for the town and the board get together.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, other on warrants? Ken?
Yeah, I monopolize this, but
That's
page
correct.
23, I see an item for field turf maintenance. I was just wondering what the annual fee is there. This particular invoice is for $3,750.
I do not have specifics on this.
And what does it cost us to maintain these turf fields annually?
My understanding is that this is an annual grooming fee that they charge.
Yeah, and this is in Park and Rec, and they are, I believe that they're responsible for the maintenance of the turf fields.
They are.
So I can't, I don't know if this is an annual fee or not. I can verify
Yeah, I can
that.
find out. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's an annual fee.
Mm-hmm.
We also have equipment that we have, that Park and Rec uses,
Right.
that does periodic maintenance, but this is, I believe, this is an annualized overhaul,
Right.
so.
The next item right under that, repair bleachers, I think you want to correct the spelling on that.
Well, that's just welding services, so that,
Repair bleachers.
The invoice description.
Bleachers is misspelled.
I know. As long as we know what it's for.
We do. Maybe there's a guy named Bleacher that we're repairing.
They're right brain, not left brain. Numbers, science.
Yeah, I assume it's for the metal bleachers.
Other warrants? Questions on warrants, Robin? You good? Okay, you have more of the circle there?
I had on page 4,
Same warrant or different warrant?
the same batch of warrants. Property tax refunds, I saw 2 items in there. Perhaps you could explain that, Sheila, to Wawa Holding. They got a tax refund of about $5,500. And Wells Fargo got a property tax refund of about $3,300.
I think that they're just normal, refunds that take place after, the January installment, or February 1st for that matter. This is March now. It could have been, there's many reasons for refunds after
WACA was for an assessment appeal settlement,
Oh, is it?
a refund of overpaid taxes.
Okay.
I don't know what Wells Fargo was, but I'd imagine something
Sounds like an
similar.
escrow account.
Yeah, and it looks like half of the year, yeah.
Anything else, Ken?
What
I
do
see you've got
we-
more circles.
Well, I do, but this is we've been asking about this one for a long time. It costs us
Page,
30, okay, on the other batch, page 21, of the fire hydrants, it
Yes.
costs us $36,000
Yes.
to rent the hydrants? Maybe we ought to buy them.
No, it's not the hydrant, it's
It's the pressure.
It's the size of the pipe. That allows more water to flow through.
Oh,
That's a fee to have water come out of those,
oh, it's the,
that
I see.
is the fee we pay the water company, so that,
oh, okay.
and obviously it includes
It's
the
not-
maintenance of the pipes and the fire hydrants, et cetera. But
Okay.
Yeah, it's not just the fire hydrant.
it's so there's water on demand.
And the more water you bring in town, the higher the spend.
Higher that fee is, that's true.
Right,
That it?
that's it for me.
There you go. Anybody else? No? All right. Now, can we go to medical benefits?
I just got the
As I-
anthem dated this afternoon.
Did you? Okay.
So, well, we covered our stop loss.
Yes, we did.
We're at $57,000 ahead at this point. So that's a good thing. But we're still projecting a surplus of about $900,000 for the year, bringing fund balance to over 1.5 million. I think that's going to still stick. There are 6 contracts that have exceeded the stop loss, and there are at least 10 right behind it. So my guess is next month, we may even see a better month as some of these reach the stop loss. I mean, there are, the individual stop loss is the 150,
50, right.
and there are 5 of them that are between 112 and 134.
Wow.
And they just cropped up, so they're in these numbers from, say, March and February, but if they hit the stop loss now, we won't see those.
The unfortunate part is that we have 16
I
employees
know.
that have either exceeded the stop loss or are close to
Yes.
doing that. Unfortunately, unhealthy employees, but from a financial perspective too, it's not, that's why we got the policy, and it's, that's why we dropped the ISL down to that level we did, and
Yes.
it's been obviously beneficial once again.
Yes.
Secondly, we need to be mindful, even though those 10 and those 6 have exceeded the stop loss or are about to, the clock resets on July 1st.
Yes.
So for some of these, we may continue, and that when I say the clock resets, it starts back at $1 again to the 150 in the next fiscal year.
Yes.
Right. So, but this is great news for this year from a financial standpoint. And we have a projected fund balance of $1.56 million in that account, net of the IBNR, right?
Yes. So that's a big cash balance.
That's a
actually.
huge cash balance.
I always find this interesting that our claims are budgeted at, say, 12.5 million.
Yep.
And these claims, the catastrophic claims, just a handful of them are almost 3 million.
Right.
So it's a big percentage.
25% of our
Yeah.
claims.
Will there be an adjustment, or if we exceed the stop loss consistently from year to year, I hate to say we hope we do, but if we do that, will our
Adjustment
carrier come back to us and say, okay, your
Here's
premium
your
is going to be adjusted as a result of this?
Which way do you think? I think if anything, they might adjust it up. So I hope not, but it'll become more expensive.
It's more expensive to get that coverage.
Yeah, we haven't seen that yet, so.
Since we went to the lower stop loss and the
Yeah.
higher premium, we've always exceeded.
Right.
Right.
that threshold, and it's been beneficial to the town.
No, I don't dispute that at all. My
No, I know
concern
you
is
don't.
that-
I'm just
that
making
the
a
benefit
statement.
might get narrower and narrower.
Yeah.
As the premium goes higher.
Right.
Actually,
Because insurance companies don't lose money, right?
no.
Typically, they don't.
I'm thinking
No,
it was
it's
close to $1
casinos.
million for the 17 that we budgeted, close to it. So it has gone up, and it went up from 15 to 16 as well.
Okay.
Remember? No, I don't.
Okay, good news. Not having had, Ken just told me he hasn't had a chance to fully memorize the capital projects document that was passed out, so why don't we, unless there are some obvious questions people want to ask at this
Why
point.
don't we talk about it next month?
Next month?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Sheila, is there something you wanted to?
No, I wanted to point out the negative number, because negatives sometimes have a negative connotation.
Yes.
On River Street.
Yeah.
That's actually money from the water company.
Yep.
That was, they contributed toward the project. So this is, there's been no true expenditures at this point.
Okay.
They're working on it, on the road, obviously, but, so this is just, gives us a little extra money to spend on the project, from what we budgeted.
Budgeted, okay. Good. All right. I'm going to keep this out of the packet, so I'll remember to look at it.
These are all on 217.
Yes. There's not a lot of activity for the year.
So,
What about 216?
216 you got last month, and
Right.
they're, I'm going to try to see if I can get
That's
to them
right.
every other month now that, they're caught up.
go there.
Right. We got it in February.
As of February 29th.
As of
We got it in
February
March, so we
29th,
got it in
yeah.
March. Thank you. That one you should have had committed to memory by now.
Absolutely.
All right. Golf course, saw a significant infusion in memberships. The word got out that membership rates were going to go up as of March 1st, or April 1st. It sure did, so hopefully more folks will have joined because of the perceived discount, so.
That's fantastic. Joe Dunsmore did a great job.
Yeah. Well,
If you did on the course, I had the opportunity to be on it this weekend.
oh, did you? How's it look?
Oh, it's great. I mean, they've lengthened a couple of the holes. It's just, the first hole is really, it's like 15 yards longer now.
Okay.
Club and a half, 2 clubs more without the wind.
Without the wind, okay. And where did they lengthen it? From the tee box? They moved the tee box up? Nice. I have to get over there.
So by cutting off the old fees after April 15th,
Yep.
people
got
adding
their,
up a little sooner.
sooner got their money in, yeah.
Waiting. So April 16th, which was what?
Gotcha.
Sunday?
Yeah.
Saturday?
Saturday, yeah, Saturday.
The fees increased.
Fees went up.
Is the whole issue of having an outside company come in, is that with the disappointing results that we've experienced from the bids, the first bids, is that issue now dead, or we're going to continue to?
For the most part.
You don't feel there's any
No,
point
it's
reactivating it at a later time?
After doing a thorough analysis, it just wasn't financially feasible. It would put us in a worse situation.
I see.
Anything else, Sheila?
No?
If not, is there a motion to approve the bills?
Again, just as a reminder, the one company that we were working with pulled out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there was really no one left.
Just
No
one
one
bid.
left, yeah.
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 No, there's two bidders.
Two bidders.
Yeah, the one that we chose to deal with pulled out, and the other one we felt wasn't didn't fit Guilford's needs, so.
But you were able to get a lot of suggestions from
Oh, yeah.
the
Yeah,
process.
yeah.
That was- So
Yeah,
there
it's
was
up
some
to-
benefit
Benefit
to
to
going
it.
through the
It
exercise.
was free advice. I mean, the RFP was all done with volunteer work from the commission. They did a great job. Joe Dunsmore did a fantastic job working with Pam Millman. But the information and the feedback we did get from the bidders was very worthwhile. Now it's up to the commission to put those ideas into practice. Okay.
All right, is there a motion to approve the bills for the town in the month of March, in the amount of $2,100,300? So moved, and I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Abstain? Any recusals? None. Motion carries. Thank you. I was informed that item 6 is no longer necessary, as the Board of Selectmen did not act on the capital plan purchase at their meeting this morning, so we'll move on to item 7. Committee reports on the Guilford High School building. Mike, you'd already given us some stuff?
Actually just going to bring up the radon issue.
There you go, that was it.
Because we write about it, but other than that, everything is proceeding and auditing and closeout.
Good. Old business? New business? Public forum? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Recusal? Less than.